The right way to talk to strangers is with caution and humility. Malcolm Gladwell. When walking down the street, you are approached by a stranger. They seem nice, calm, and friendly. We trust our judgment about that person, and we think we can understand their motives, intentions, and character from the brief interaction that we've had with them. We can't. We're wrong. See, strangers are hard for us to read and understand because they often don't act how we assume they will or should. To illustrate some of the problems we face when dealing with strangers, Gladwell gives us examples of two different puzzles. The first puzzle is this. When we're talking to strangers, why can't we tell when the stranger in front of us is lying directly to our face? During the communist regime in Cuba under Fidel Castro, one of his spies flipped sides. He walked into a U.S. embassy and exposed just how deeply and completely the Cubans had infiltrated the United States CIA and DIA, two of the top intelligence agencies in the world. These are people who are trained to spot liars, fakes, and spies from other countries to protect the United States. Ana Montes, one such Cuban spy, passed all of her regular reviews and reports without raising a single red flag. Ana was able to remain cool, calm, and collected, never showing a trigger that would arouse extra suspicion, and when no trigger is found, we often assume truthfulness. Which brings us to our second puzzle. How is it that meeting a stranger can sometimes make us worse at making sense of what that person is than not meeting them? In 1938, the Prime Minister of England, Neville Chamberlain, decided to meet with the Time magazine's Man of the Year, Adolf Hitler. Many of the world's leaders had not met Hitler and were already suspicious of his motives. But Chamberlain was quoted after one meeting that he felt that he and Hitler understood each other, and that Hitler was a man that could be relied upon when given his word, despite his hardness and ruthlessness. We know how that turned out. So, we struggle to accurately assess a stranger's honesty, character, intent, and overall quality, whether we've met them once or a handful of times. And it's not just everyday people who struggle. World leaders and highly trained intelligence officers do too. So the next section of this book deals with why strangers are so difficult for us to understand. The first reason is the truth default theory. Let's say that I give you a video of 100 people telling you a story, half of which are telling the truth and half of which are lying. Would you be able to pick out the liars? In research studies done under exactly this pretense, people were astonishingly bad at picking out the liars, only identifying the people that were lying about 30% of the time, while well over 50% when picking out those telling the truth. This is what Gladwell calls the truth default theory. We want to believe people are being truthful, so we default to that. Unless we sense a trigger, twitch, or something else that specifically arouses our suspicions, we give people the benefit of the doubt and believe they're being honest. To explain this further, Gladwell identifies two types of people: match senders and mismatch senders. Match senders look honest and are honest, or they look like they are lying and they are lying. These people are easy to identify, and we are nearly 100% right when guessing on them. Mismatch senders, on the other hand, are the complete opposite, and with these people, we only get it right about 25% of the time when we have to guess. The next reason is transparency. The TV sitcom Friends was a great example of transparency. You could tell exactly what was going on by watching the reactions and the expressions on the different characters' faces. Just like Friends, we expect strangers to be transparent with their reactions so that we can accurately judge them. Unfortunately, this is often completely misleading and incorrect. It is important to realize that you can't read a stranger's face like you would a character on your favorite TV sitcom. You are often dealing with a mismatched sender that will throw you off your senses. Coupling is another reason. We have a habit of looking at strangers as individuals, but to understand them, we need to look at the broader context surrounding them. You would think that someone trying to commit suicide, if stopped from using one method, would try other ways. Gladwell points out several studies that disprove this, though. The Golden Gate Bridge is one example he uses. When people were stopped from jumping off the bridge by a Good Samaritan or by some other form of restraint, less than 5% of them persisted in killing themselves in some other way. Gladwell states, "Coupling is the idea that behaviors are linked to very specific circumstances and conditions. The stranger you just met may be acting a certain way because of the situation or place that you've met them in, not because of more obvious reasons that you make assumptions of. To illustrate these points further, we look at the sad case of Sandra Bland. Bland was pulled over in July of 2015 by a Texas state trooper for failing to signal a lane change. Bland stated that she had only changed lanes to get out of the trooper's way and started to become irritated. Things escalated quickly, and Bland was allegedly pulled out of the car, thrown on the ground, and arrested. 3 days later, she committed suicide in police custody. According to Gladwell, this is a perfect example of both defaulting to the truth and transparency. The officer was stopping Bland for a minor traffic offense to look for a greater crime. This is a common policing tactic in high crime areas. The problem is that this was a low crime area, a highway in fact, and this method makes no sense. The officer abandoned the assumption of truth and escalated a situation that didn't need to be. Bland wasn't also transparent. Her agitation was a sign of stress, not criminal intent. The author believes that the irritation that Bland showed made the officer feel threatened by a dangerous threat rather than someone in a stressful situation. Remember, the right way to talk to strangers is with caution and humility. Humans aren't great at detecting lies or judging others based on the limited information you have when you meet someone new. When dealing with strangers, you need to take extra time and effort to understand them. Thanks for watching. Do you have a book, article, saying, or idea that you'd like us to animate? Leave your ideas in the comments below, and your suggestion might be our next video. Before you go, we'd appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our channel to get notified when we release new animations.